He gave Clint Eastwood's script to a tabloid for personal publicity, spoiling the film's biggest twist before it was even finished shooting. Clint's response was immediate. "Security out now. That actor never worked in Hollywood again." It was October 2003, during production of Million Dollar Baby in Los Angeles. The film was being shot on a tight schedule with a modest budget, exactly the way Clint preferred to work: efficient focus, no wasted time or resources. The cast included Hilary Swank in the lead role, Morgan Freeman as the narrator and key supporting character, and a supporting actor we'll call James Mitchell, a 32-year-old who'd landed what should have been a career-making role in a Clint Eastwood film with obvious Oscar potential. Mitchell had been cast as one of the boxers who appears in several key dramatic scenes at the gym where much of the film's action takes place. It wasn't a huge role, but it was substantial enough to get noticed by industry professionals, the kind of supporting part that could lead to bigger opportunities if handled professionally. The production had been running smoothly for 3 weeks without any incidents. Cast and crew had signed standard non-disclosure agreements at the beginning of production, as they do on virtually every film production, regardless of budget or scale, agreeing not to discuss plot details, script specifics, character arcs, or any production information with press or public before the film's official release. This is standard practice across the entertainment industry, protecting the film's commercial value by maintaining mystery and preventing spoilers that could damage box office performance by removing the element of surprise that drives audiences to theaters. NDAs are taken extremely seriously, with breach of contract lawsuits and industry blacklisting as potential consequences. Mitchell understood these rules perfectly. He'd signed the NDA without hesitation. He'd been on enough sets over his career to know that leaking information about a production was one of the fastest ways to destroy your career and reputation in an industry built on trust and confidentiality. Every actor knew stories about people who'd been blacklisted for talking to the press. But Mitchell had a problem that overrode his better judgment. He craved attention and publicity desperately, and nobody was paying attention to him despite working on what should have been a career-defining project. Entertainment media was covering production extensively because it was a Clint Eastwood film with Oscar potential, but the focus was entirely on Clint, Hilary Swank, and Morgan Freeman, the director and the leads. Mitchell's name wasn't appearing in any articles or industry coverage. His agent wasn't getting calls from casting directors wanting to meet with him. His social media following wasn't growing despite posting behind-scenes content. As far as the industry was concerned, he was just another supporting actor on a Clint Eastwood film, invisible in the shadow of bigger names. Mitchell decided to change that through what he convinced himself was a clever strategy for gaining visibility and attention. He'd become friendly over the past 2 weeks with a reporter from a major entertainment tabloid who'd been trying persistently to get information about the production. The reporter had approached several cast and crew members at various times, offering substantial money for details about the script, behind-scenes drama, on-set conflicts, anything that would make a good story an exclusive headline. Most people had refused immediately, understanding professional and legal consequences. But Mitchell saw an opportunity for publicity he desperately craved. On a Wednesday evening in late October, after a long day of shooting at the gym set, Mitchell called a reporter and offered a deal. He'd provide detailed exclusive information about the film's plot, including its major twists and emotional beats that were being kept secret, even from Warner Brothers' marketing department, in exchange for a feature article about himself with professional photos and lengthy quotes positioning him as a rising talent. The article would describe him as a rising star working with legendary director Clint Eastwood, someone to watch in upcoming films, generating the publicity and industry attention that Mitchell thought would help his career and make him more visible to casting directors and producers. The reporter agreed immediately, barely able to contain excitement. This was exactly what tabloids wanted. Insider information, plot spoilers, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, the kind of material that would drive massive website traffic and magazine sales while competitors scrambled to catch up. Over the phone conversation that lasted nearly an hour, Mitchell walked the reporter through the film's entire story arc in meticulous detail. He described the developing relationship between Frankie and Maggie, the training sequences and their emotional significance, the pivotal fights and what they represented in Maggie's journey. And most devastatingly, he revealed the film's tragic ending and emotional climax that the entire narrative had been carefully constructed to build toward. He provided specific plot points, character development arcs, and dramatic moments that were meant to surprise and emotionally devastate audiences when the film was released in theaters a full year later. The reporter took detailed notes, asked follow-up questions, and got Mitchell to provide even more specific information about scenes that hadn't been shot yet. By the end of the conversation, the reporter had a complete picture of the film's narrative structure and emotional journey. The article was published Thursday morning on the tabloid website and in their print edition. The headline screamed, "Exclusive inside Clint Eastwood's new boxing drama star reveals shocking ending and emotional twists." The article featured multiple photos of Mitchell on set, quotes from him about the honor of working with a legend, and detailed descriptions of the film's plot, including its most significant spoilers. Mitchell's name was prominently featured throughout. Exactly the publicity he'd wanted. By 9 a.m. Thursday morning, the article had been shared across social media. Other entertainment websites were picking up the story, running their own versions with headlines like "Eastwood film spoilers leaked" and "Million Dollar Baby plot revealed before release." By 10 a.m., Warner Brothers executives were calling Clint's production office furious that major plot points had been leaked a full year before the film's planned release. By 10:30 a.m., Clint had read the article. Mitchell arrived on set at noon for his call time, apparently oblivious to the disaster he'd created. He was smiling, energized by seeing his name and photo in a major publication that morning. Several crew members who saw him arrive immediately looked away, not making eye contact, an ominous sign he should have noticed but didn't. Clint was in the middle of setting up a shot with Hilary Swank when his assistant director approached and quietly told him Mitchell had arrived. Clint nodded, finished giving Swank direction, then turned to his AD. "Tell security to meet me at Mitchell's trailer, then bring Mitchell there." The tone made it clear this wasn't a routine production meeting. 5 minutes later, Mitchell was standing in his trailer with Clint, the assistant director, and 2 security guards. Mitchell's smile faded when he saw the security presence. "James, did you speak to the press about this production?" Clint asked, his voice a familiar, quiet rasp that somehow carried more authority than shouting. Mitchell's face went pale. What do you mean?" Clint pulled out his phone and showed Mitchell the article, complete with Mitchell's photos and quotes. "This article published this morning with detailed information about our script, including plot points and the ending. Did you provide this information?" Mitchell tried to salvage the situation. "Clint, I can explain. They approached me and I thought, did you provide this information?" Clint repeated, cutting him off. "I just wanted some publicity," Mitchell said, his voice getting smaller. "My name wasn't appearing in any coverage, and I thought if I gave them a little. You signed a non-disclosure agreement. Clint said you agreed not to discuss any aspect of this production with the press. You violated that agreement. More importantly, you betrayed the trust of everyone working on this film. It's just publicity," Mitchell protested weakly. "It'll help the film get people interested." "You revealed the ending," Clint said, his voice still quiet, but with an edge now that made everyone in the trailer tense. "The emotional climax that the entire story builds toward. You spoiled it for every person who will see this film. You did this for personal publicity, for your name in an article, without any regard for the film or the hundreds of people working on it." "I made a mistake," Mitchell said, desperation creeping into his voice. "I shouldn't have done it, but we can fix this. I'll call them. Tell them to retract." "Security," Clint said, not to Mitchell, but to the 2 guards. "Out now." The guards moved to either side of Mitchell, who looked around frantically. "Clint, please. This is my career. I'll do anything to make this right. I'll issue a statement. You're removed from this production effective immediately." Clint said, "Sarah will have your termination paperwork. You have 20 minutes to clear out your trailer and leave the lot. Security will escort you." "You can't do this over one mistake," Mitchell said, his voice rising. "Now, I'm in multiple scenes you haven't shot yet. You'll have to recast, reshoot everything. That's my problem, not yours," Clint said. 20 minutes. He walked out of the trailer, leaving Mitchell with security. The assistant director followed, already on her phone, calling the casting director to begin the emergency recast process. Mitchell was escorted off the Warner Brothers lot within the hour, his things packed, his parking pass revoked, his access to the production terminated. The security guards waited while he cleaned out his trailer, then walked him to his car and watched him drive away. By that afternoon, Warner Brothers' legal department had filed a lawsuit against Mitchell for breach of contract in violation of his NDA. By the next morning, Mitchell's agent had dropped him as a client. By the end of the week, every casting director in Hollywood knew what he'd done. The role was recast within 48 hours with an actor who understood the value of confidentiality. All of Mitchell's scenes were red-hot over the following 2 weeks. By the time production wrapped, it was as if Mitchell had never been part of the film, but Mitchell's problems were just beginning. The lawsuit went forward and Mitchell was ordered to pay substantial damages for breach of contract. More devastatingly, word spread through Hollywood about what he'd done. He'd leaked script details for personal publicity. He'd violated an NDA. He'd spoiled major plot points of a Clint Eastwood film. He'd been fired from production and escorted off the lot by security. No director wanted to work with an actor who couldn't be trusted with confidential material and might leak script details for personal gain. No producer wanted to hire someone who'd violate NDAs and potentially damage their film's commercial prospects before release. No studio wanted to risk confidential material with someone who'd proven they'd sell out their production for personal publicity and a photo in a tabloid. No casting director wanted to recommend someone who represented a legal and professional liability. Mitchell tried desperately to explain himself in multiple interviews and public statements over the following months, claiming he'd been naive about the entertainment industry's confidentiality expectations, that he hadn't understood the full impact of what he was doing or how seriously it would be taken, that he deserved a second chance because everyone makes mistakes early in their career. But the damage was irreversible, and his explanations rang hollow. He betrayed Clint Eastwood on a Clint Eastwood film, one of the most respected directors in Hollywood history. He'd put his own publicity desires and ego above the interests of hundreds of people working on the production. Crew members, other actors, producers, studio executives, all of whom now had to deal with spoiled plot points affecting their film's commercial potential. By 2005, Mitchell had left Los Angeles unable to find work. By 2007, he'd left the entertainment industry entirely. The career-making role in Million Dollar Baby that should have opened doors instead became the role that ended his career. Meanwhile, Million Dollar Baby was released in December 2004 to overwhelming acclaim despite the leaked plot details. The film won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director for Clint, Best Actress for Hilary Swank, and Best Supporting Actor for Morgan Freeman. It grossed over $216 million worldwide. Mitchell's name appeared nowhere in the credits or publicity. He'd been completely erased from the film. The actor who replaced him received screen time and credit for playing the role Mitchell had lost through his own actions. In 2010, a film school professor teaching a class on professional ethics used Mitchell's story as a cautionary example. James Mitchell had a career-making opportunity. The professor told students to role in a Clint Eastwood film with Oscar potential. He destroyed it by leaking script details for personal publicity. He thought getting his name in a tabloid was more important than respecting the production. That decision cost him everything. The story of Mitchell's firing became one of those industry tales that gets told to young actors as a warning. It appears in books about Hollywood professionalism. It's referenced in articles about the importance of NDAs and confidentiality, and it serves as a permanent reminder that betraying trust for personal gain, especially on a production led by someone as respected as Clint Eastwood, will end your career faster than almost anything else you can do. James Mitchell gave script details to a tabloid, spoiling the film's biggest emotional moments, all for a feature article with his photo and name. He got the publicity he wanted. He also got 3 words from Clint Eastwood, "Security out now," that ended his career in Hollywood forever. The tabloid article he'd been so proud of that Thursday morning became the only significant mention of his name in connection with Million Dollar Baby. Not as an actor who contributed to an Oscar-winning film, but as the actor who was fired and escorted off, set by security for betraying the production. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to remember that confidentiality and trust are not negotiable in professional environments, and that short-term publicity is never worth destroying long-term career prospects. X.